My parents wanted this building to set the tone of a new generation of houses along the River Thames, to show what could be built both now and in the future. I'm Lucy. I'm one of the 3 daughters of the original owners of this property, Dick and Judith Fletcher.
I'm Sarah Griffiths, one of the architects who worked and designed Pheasants. Quite a few architects, I think, entered a competition. I think there were 67 in all, to design a 21st century future house, which is what Pheasants is. The practice I was working with at the time won the competition, and that was back in 2005.
Henley is a very sort of traditional area architecturally.
There's lots of conservationists. We're in an enclave here. You have a fairly sort of a pastiche house next door. There's a thatched cottage around the corner. And of course, it's an area of outstanding natural beauty. You've got people sailing backwards and forwards on boats looking at the house. I think the reason it got planning permission, the reason that it is built was down to a team of people who were really determined to get the house built. We're standing on the podium and you're looking up towards the big concrete cantilever which spans over the living area. I think the biggest challenge was getting the cantilever right. The main bedroom portion, which is this half of the house, appears to float over the living space below. So there's no columns at all through the living area and the sitting area. The whole of this portion of the house is cantilevered. So there's one big beam which runs north to south. This portion of the house is cantilevered across to the end facade. I think we're always pushing the boundaries to make sure there's no columns. To make it feel like you're seeing all the way through. That was the objective, to make you see all the way through to the Thames beyond.
I love the way that it really takes advantage of the site on the river. When you walk in through different doors, you get glimpses of the riverside, obviously been designed like that. But when you walk through the front door and you can see through sets of windows, like out to the river at the bottom, it makes for a really grand entrance. And we're coming through into the reception room.
I think it's one of my favourite places. It's very peaceful when you come in and you can see straight through to the river beyond, which you wouldn't know was there. It's so unexpected.
So this is then through into the main part of the house, into the living area.
It's seamless from front to back, so all the levels are flush. It's all concrete polished floor throughout, except in the main bedroom area where timber flooring was used from the old house.
But as you walk in here, you really get like a very dramatic sense of space, and you're sort of aware of the concrete, but it doesn't bear down heavily on you.
There is actually certain warmth in concrete, and you're providing a backdrop to somebody's own space, somebody's own belongings, somebody's own, objects and furniture they put into it. The concrete ages just like any other material, and it still feels, and there's a warmth to it. You look at it different times of the day, different times of the year, it changes. It's never flat.
I love the mix of the modern lines of the house and the eclectic mix of things that are in the house that make it feel really homely. So you've got the juxtaposition of a very modern, clean-lined building that feels really homely inside and feels really cozy in some parts, even though it is built with a lot of steel and glass and concrete. And really your eye is completely drawn towards the river and the beauty of the garden outside.
The fireplace with the fire grates was all forged especially for the house. That was done in Hackney forgery.
And it's lovely in winter having an open fire. It feels really magical around Christmas time particularly. Yeah, we had some lovely Christmases here. It's a great place to be with the kids running around in the garden.
We're looking at the Corten bifolding perforated screens. The pattern was developed by Judith, who drew out all of the panels by hand first.
They were on big strips of brown paper, weren't they? Big rolls of brown paper that were hung on the window just to make sure that they could see how it would feel. And the designs were then given to you, Sarah, weren't they?
They were retraced on the computer and then given to a welding company Littlehampton Welding to redesign and put into their own software so they could be laser cut.
I remember he had a lot of challenges about the amount of negative space to make sure that there was enough structure.
There's a fine line between void and solid. They had to be not completely covered in void holes because of the stability.
So the screen comes half the way across the back of the house to shield both the bedroom and also this bathroom. So this is a continuation of next to the main bedroom. And you can get the dappled feeling in here as well, but because of the glass walls, it's sort of magnified.
It's reflected in the glass. So the reason for sinking the bath into the floor was so that the floor would remain seamless all the way through to the outside when it lit the Corten screen.
But this is one of my favourite parts of the house because the way that the light comes through those screens and gives that sort of dappled sort of tree, like forest glen feeling, is just makes you feel really calm when you're standing here.
It's also amazing silence in here as well, isn't it? I mean, we were just standing outside, weren't we, listening to the aircraft, and now we're inside. It's completely, you could hear a pin drop, couldn't you? Yeah. Very serene, isn't it, and very still. Still is probably the only word you can use to describe it because it's all enveloping, isn't it?
Yeah. It just makes you feel so calm when you walk into the space. It just all feels very calm and peaceful here. There's 4 bedrooms on the top floor. There's 2 larger ones at each end of the building at north and south, and 2 sort of smaller ensuite bedrooms sort of in between those 2. But this one's my favourite because you can look out over the river. You kind of feel like you're in amongst the trees when you're in this room, don't you?
Don't you? And the glass-to-glass corner of the window really helps, doesn't it, to make that completely seamless. Such a fantastic view through here. Yeah, and so this window here is mirrored on the north side as well. So it's exactly the same size.
I love the light in this corridor. It does just lift you as you walk down here. But this is the other main bedroom on the top floor.
This mirrors the other bedroom at the far end. So they're identical sizes, exactly the same layout.
But with this one, you get to see, rather than the river, you get to see the Gatehouse. At this time of day, you really get the light, and
the Corten really gives a warmth, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the reflection of the water up onto the concrete of the Gatehouse as well. It's really lovely. So we're here at the Gatehouse.
Judith studio. This is Corten, so it's the same material as the outside cladding. It's a Corten faced door. It's a different material to the main house, so it's meant to be subservient to the main house. So the Corten material, the aging of the Corten was thought to be a good material in conjunction with the concrete of the main house.
So this is where my mum's art studio was. And this was her dream, really, to paint in here. Towards the sort of latter part of her art career, she painted a lot of really big canvases, and she loved being in here. This was like her calm space. And she's got all of her many art supplies all in its own like individual storage places.
Special racks for all the canvases.
It's very rare for an artist to be able to design their own studio space, but that's exactly what she did in conjunction with you, wasn't it? She had very specific ideas of what she wanted where and what direction the light should come from.
I had many hours discussing shelving and drawers and worktops. This is one continuous L-shaped roof light which runs all the length of the space to give north light into the studio.
North facing is ideal for painters. Yeah. That's meant to be the perfect direction.
And she wanted the bench on this side. She was very exacting, your mum, wasn't she?
Yeah,
I can even remember where the sockets are because she was so careful about where she positioned them. It's a very flexible and adaptive space, as is the office next door.
Yeah.
The office doesn't have a double height. It's spatial quality, but it's still quite cosy in there, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, you could use this space for a number of different things.
So Dick and Judith lived here for a while. So there's a living room upstairs with a compact kitchenette. The competition scheme had a water feature, connection between the pavilion and the main house. This was the last element to be built. So all of these concrete edges were matching the same concrete for the main house.
And they commissioned a sculpture to be put in the middle of it. They met Lloyd LeBlanc, who creates the most amazing bronzes of different kinds of birds, and he designed the 3 swans taking flight to go in the middle of the water feature.
Yeah, they were adamant they were definitely going to put a sculpture in the middle of the pond, weren't they?
And they wanted something that reflected the nature around.
And the light, and the light, and the river.
I think for me, the overall feel of the house is wonderful. The house and the gardens, the sense of calm that you get when you walk in. There's something about the space that just makes you feel very at peace. And it's the same with the garden and walking down to the river. It really is a very unique setting.
You couldn't find a better place to be, to sit and think and read, could you?
Yeah.
If you could think of your most perfect space to sit and read a book and look out, this would be it, wouldn't it? Okay, there's busy days, aren't there, when the Henley Regatta's on, but you hardly see anything apart from wildlife. And you can see the geese now, you know, it's the most perfect place. And in fact, if you stand at the bottom of the garden next to the river and look back at it, I think that's probably that feels to me the best view and the best experience. You know, being in the house is great, but then actually turning around on a beautiful day and looking back at the house on the river is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was an extraordinary challenge and adventure for them, and they loved the design process. So it was a true passion and love for them designing this house. They put everything into it, and it gave them an enormous amount to be able to do that. This was, you know, a culmination of all of their working years building up their business and selling it. And then this was how they wanted to spend their retirement years, was designing and living in an extraordinary house. And they got a lot from that process, and also from the years that they got to live here.
Yeah, it's certainly a house I don't think I'll work on in my lifetime again. Having spent so many years working on it. I mean, you know, working with Dick and Judith for 13 years on this. I won't work on a house like this ever again, I don't think. Yeah.